The tower, one of the armies that needed the most help coming into 9th edition. The army just didn't work. The rules didn't work. And it's been really struggling, really hard to play.
Yeah.
And a tough fall from grace. I really loved this army. So with this new fact, I was really excited to see what they would do. I was like, they're really going to ramp this up. And thankfully, they made some great changes, but they also made some confusing ones and a huge number of errors. So let's take you through the confusion and show you what's changed in this January 21 fact for the Tau. Okay, so this is the army that's changed the most of any army in this fact, and they needed it more than anyone else, really.
They really did. They struggled from overly costed units, from not being able to do like their key abilities.
Yeah, no fallback and shoot was big for this army.
Huge deal. The changes to fly, right?
Points went up. Lots and lots of things changed in this new edition, and Tau have been struggling. So really expected a lot here. We've got some point reductions, which are very welcome. Weirdly, some point increases, and in some wild ways. Which I'm hoping they fix. Many errors and gray areas, which we'll give you our opinions on.
Sure.
And some amazing rules changes.
That's right.
So it's a roller coaster ride. Strap in. Let's take you through. One of the things that is the most contentious is that the actual tactical drones went up to 20 points. Now, to clear this up, the tactical drones are the drones taken as the fast attack slot.
Right, their own units.
And it's any of the three drones, main drones. It's the shield drone, the marker drone, or the gun drone. Now, these used to be 10 points and 15 points for the shield drone, respectively. And now that is a huge points increase, 100% points increase on a marker drone.
Wild.
Get out of here.
Right?
Marker drones were awful. Gun drones were awful. 100% points increase on an awful unit?
No.
What are they thinking?
Like, are they, if this is intentional, the only thing to interpret is that they want to get rid of individual drone squads, right?
Like maybe they're dropping it from the future codex or something.
I guess.
Maybe they just don't want you to do it.
Why do they do it now?
For now, this unit is unplayable. It's nerfed out of the game. Thankfully, you still pay the old price for drones when you take them as upgrades.
That's right.
So you're buying drones with your crisis team, your broadsides, your commanders. All of those drones are now the same points. So, okay, fine. That's a bit of a wash. So, okay. But there was a legitimate points increase on the commanders.
Yeah,
now,
that's right.
These are the best units in the codex.
I know, that's true. So in a vacuum, I totally get it. Like, they were very, very efficient. They're great units. Increase the points, sure. The problem is, you're not in a vacuum. You're in this book that's already struggling.
Yeah, that's right.
And so you're kind of punishing the like last remnants of efficiency.
It's okay to have something good in a book that's bad and let it stay good.
Especially given like the state of the fixes, right? It's not like they're fixing everything else.
They're not that good. Like,
no.
They're only okay. So what happened here is the Enforcer Battlesuit and the Cold Star Battlesuit both went up 10 points. The actual Crisis Battlesuit, the one that nobody ever takes,
the old one.
It went up 5 points. Now, there's a weird little complexity here where the Cold Star's weapon, for instance, its main burst cannon, actually went down. But since that's not the loadout you're taking, you really are just paying 10 more points.
Yeah, exactly. And there were a couple other weird points changes in here. The Enforcer weapon upgrades on the chart are exactly the same as the Cold Star. So this makes it look like the Cold Star can take things like the Cyclic Ion Blaster now, which they cannot, right?
I think it's just an error.
It is definitely an error because on the data sheet, that says what you can take.
The Codex clearly says what you can and can't take.
Right.
So don't be gluing, especially any Cyclic Ion Blasters to your Cold Stars. It's not the way it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully there were some point decreases as well, not just point increases to this army.
There's some good news here.
Yeah. The Crisis teams went down 5 points, and the Bodyguards went down 3. Now, this is cool.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I like it.
It's not nearly enough.
It's not enough. Whereas some of the other points increases on Space Marines were a slap on the hand, this is the opposite. It's like, okay, I'm acting like I'm helping you, but actually doesn't make a big difference. The more Crisis you run, obviously, the more point savings you're getting here, but really, they still struggle, right?
Nobody's ever going to run more than, let's say, 12 Crisis would be a preposterous amount of Crisis.
Right?
But it's 5 points.
It's a different game. We can't do that anymore.
It's not. And the thing is, the weapon costs are still so high. The burst cannons, the flamers, the fragmentation projectors, they all cost way too much for what they do in modern 9th edition Warhammer.
This is where the drop should have come from.
Yeah, I'm really, really hoping those weapons go way down. Yeah. All the way to 0. I think all those guns should be free. I pay for missile pods, pay for fusion, pay for ion. Cool. But don't pay for a flamer.
The flamer is the one I keep thinking about. Like, why does this cost as many points as it does, which is any points?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I get it. So, okay. The Devilfish also went down 5 points. And for those of you more contentious rules as written kind of people, it does look like you don't have to pay drone prices on your tanks. It's piranhas, Devilfish, whatever. You do. Yeah. Okay, they made a mistake. They took out a little asterisk that used to be in the bottom of this book here that said drone paid for it separately. They took out the asterisk by mistake. They're going to put the asterisk back. Of course, they meant you to pay for these drones. So really, this tank dropped 5 points. It didn't drop any more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And this is, of course, a confusion with the new format where they're saying, okay, we're going to bake in as many war gear as we can into the core thing. So it's understandable why this mistake came out, but just be aware of that and do this logically, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about the biggest points drop, and the one I'm actually most excited about, and this is the broadsides, right?
So they ended up dropping by about 20 points, right, for the rail rifle and the SMS build, as well as the missile pods as well?
The missile pods went down 15 points with the smart missile systems as well. These are both very welcome changes because these things are reliable DACA, and I'm really into them now because of some of the changes to Montcalm, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Absolutely.
But I think they're actually pretty good.
I'm really excited for them. They're really cool models. We're big fans of the MagnaRail prototype system, so I'm really excited to see more of these on the battlefield. And yeah, again, just a very needed drop and change.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's talk about the big one. Right? Most of those points, they were kind of a wash, right? Like some things went down, some things went up. Your list probably stayed about the same.
Yeah.
And if you were taking lots of independent drones, you got hosed. So, sorry.
Yeah.
But they gave you something big.
Big
It's
change.
a big one, and this is the change to Montcalm.
That's right. So now, Montcalm allows your units within Montcalm range to count as if they did not move.
Oof.
So that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yes, it means obviously you can advance and shoot without penalty.
Sure.
But more importantly, this means that you do not count as having retreated because of the way this works in 9th edition. In 8th edition, this wasn't as specified as defined as a specific type of move that happens.
That's right.
But in 9th, it is. So that means if you fall back, if you advance, all that stuff, you didn't move, didn't happen. So an army-wide bubble of fall back and shoot, that's amazing.
It's actually really strong, and it helps the Tau a lot. And for those of you who are still thinking this is a little contentious, the wording of Montcalm previously was such that it was almost like you could fall back and shoot, but not quite. But they've deliberately changed it towards the interpretation the internet had. Exactly. I don't know if you, the internet, convinced them of this. Maybe they didn't even think about it until now. But this is what it does, and it's so incredibly strong. It allows units that didn't even have the ability to fall back and shoot, like broadsides, to do it for the first time. So I think you can really build around this. It gives you a cool new ability. I'm super into it.
So excited for the broadsides. This has always been their bane.
Oh, yeah.
Doubly so, in 9th edition. So really excited to unlock that ability.
Anything that could ignore Overwatch and then fly and touch them. The worst was like Troop Masters. They would just flip belt over and just be like, bloop, and lean on me. And I'd be like, oh, I lose. And it was the worst.
So true.
So now he could do that. And I'm just going to fall back and blast him.
It's so scary. And the impact is going to be tough to see. I think a lot of the time you're going to see your opponent not doing things, right? So it's going to keep people honest. Yes, it's only once per game or twice if you have Farsight. But that's enough, right? If you play it well, it's going to take practice. But if you play it well, it's going to be devastating.
Going from 0 to once in Tau,
it's infinitely better.
Infinite. It's huge.
That's right.
So big changes there. Okay, so those are the changes to the army and the rules. Really, I guess we could give you one other. They put Supreme Commander on Shadowsun's datasheet. This is quite a promotion for her.
That's right.
She deserved it though.
She did deserve it.
She's running that 5th spear expansion. Fighting those death guards, she needs the promotion.
Yeah, that's right. And she's, I think, the first non-Lord of War, the non-Primarch for sure, that has this rule. Yeah, so that's a cool thing. Obviously, it's a suggestion for things to come in the future.
It's minor, though. It's minor.
So there were some big changes to the game itself, though. There were really just 2 ones that were changes to the secondaries that had a big impact on Tau.
Yeah, they changed the first one as while we stand, we fight.
Yep.
And this used to be you would pick your 3 most expensive models, and you got 5 points each if they lived. Now it's the 3 most expensive units. Now, the reason this impacts Tau is because Tau used to be able to build around this, taking things like commanders as they while we stand, we fight, and then building small like infantry or MSU-based units. This was a really easy way to get your 15 points. You can't do this anymore.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty significant hit to the army.
Yeah, great.
As we mentioned earlier, they already struggled in scoring, and this was one that you could score very well, and most importantly, you could plan this in the army building stage. Now, it's going to have to be things like your big crisis squads.
That's right.
You could still pick Riptide, but it's not ideal. And so it's going to be these assets that you have to use. They're harder to hide, and they're ultimately not that durable.
And at the end of the day, you don't have enough drones to keep them alive.
No, you don't.
Right?
Yeah.
So the other thing to keep in mind is they specifically called it that drones do not count for while we stand, we fight. It's the only faction they called out, but it's for good reason.
Yeah.
This could be highly abused. You imagine you take a Riptide with its 2 shield drones, which actually got cheaper, and those 2 shield drones go and hide inside a transport, it would be abusive, right?
It'd be a problem.
So I'm glad that they fixed it, but it also is strangely punishing to like a crisis or broadside squad who's actually taking a big unit of drones, which is now the best and cheapest way to get drones.
Yeah.
But it's still a lot of points. Like if I take 6 drones, like 6 gun drones, still 60 extra points. That's a whole squad, you know?
Exactly. Now, so that's the bad news as far as secondaries. The other thing, the other change is actually great. This is the change to bring it down. Previously, you would score either 2 points or 3 points for killing enemy vehicles and monsters.
Yeah.
For Tau, this was largely 2 points for every piranha, remora.
So many things.
All those
the
kind
tetras.
of like smaller vehicles, right?
Yeah.
Now, it's there's more gradations to it. So if you're up to 10 wounds, you only give up a single point. And if you're up to 19 wounds, you only give up 2. And then it goes to 3 from on.
If you're 20 on, which is just the Storm Surge is 20 points.
Oh,
20
really?
wounds, yeah. So whatever, the Storm Surge is already...
You know the messed up thing about it is they changed their rule, right? It goes 1 to 10, and then goes
19 to 20.
19 to,
and I
1 to
think
19.
20 is... The Storm Surge is the only thing I can think of at 20 minutes.
It
so it's
literally
like
is.
they just wanted to get Tau. Who cares?
Anyways,
but
this is a good change.
It's a really good change because piranhas and tetras are fantastic units, and now your ability to take more of them is really fantastic.
And the thing is, you can run a pretty significant amount of them. You know, 8 piranhas, that's a lot of piranhas, and that's only 8 points.
It used to be 16.
16, which was like, to get 16 points, no problem, I can do that. If it's only for 8 points, I probably don't really want to pick it. It's not that inconsequential.
I agree.
And so this is a great change. It's going to give more diversity to Tau builds and just be less punishing for having more of those vehicles. So, you know, it's a nice change to end on, basically.
I agree, yeah. So ultimately, to sum it up here, the points, super messy, but think about the fact that your commanders went up, your broadsides went down, everything else is kind of a wash. Don't worry about what they're doing with these drones. Just leave the drones aside for now. Those 20-point drones, don't take them. Pay for drones as part of upgrades. Never pay for a 20-point shield drone. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Don't do it. And the real takeaway here is Monka. This is transformative. Get out, start writing lists. You can make this work. Unfortunately, it's really going to push you towards those castled up structures.
Yeah, that's true.
But hey, as long as you have a playstyle that works for now, that's a lot better than where we were before this fact. So I am genuinely interested to start list writing, to start playing Tau. I'm going to be putting a lot of experimental lists on the board with broadsides, with all kinds of stuff.
Oh, man. I'm so excited to see what you come up with.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be great.
I'm excited because you're excited about your favorite faction again. So hopefully this video was helpful. We know there was a lot of confusing information, especially about Tau, right? Yeah, this is an ongoing thing. One of the reasons the video is coming out now is because we tried to get a response, tried to figure out.
We were hoping they would have fixed it by now.
Yeah, so hopefully this is helpful with some of that confusion. Let us know in the comments below what you thought. And also, we'd be curious to hear about any changes you're making to your armies, how many broadsides you're going to have. So let us know, and we will have these new units and new builds on the stream very, very soon. As always, if you did enjoy, please do like and subscribe and consider becoming a member. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys next time on the Tabletop.